We learned in the laws of Teshuva, the Rambam, in the second parak, that when it comes to repenting for that which you have done to an individual as opposed to that which you've done against God, so Teshuva only works when you go ahead and ask for forgiveness. So there's two ways you can do that. Basically, you have to go and ask them for forgiveness, even if you did something to them with words as opposed to you've damaged their property. So even if you pay their money and you damage their property, you still have to go and ask them for forgiveness. What happens if the person does not want to forgive you? So the Rambam writes, if a person does not want to forgive you, so then you're going to come in groups. You go get a few of his friends, and you go with his friends over to him and try to ask for forgiveness. You go with him a second time and a third time. If each time he doesn't want to forgive you, leave him alone. That's it. Which means you've tried to appease, and you're obviously not doing it like one after the other, but you tried to appease and you're doing it with all your heart. Lo nitratza, if the guy is not interested, so menicha v'holech lo v'zeh machal hu achote. And the guy who doesn't want to forgive you, so that person is considered the sinner. And that's, of course, in a scenario where he should be forgiving you, and you really have no intent of doing it again, then he's the one that bears the burden of sin because of the fact that he did not actually forgive you. V'may rabo, however, if it's your Rebbe, then you have to go even 1,000 times until your Rebbe actually forgives you. So that is approach number one. Approach number one is you've done something wrong to somebody, you have to go ahead and forgive them. You have to go and ask for forgiveness and do whatever you can. Bring the friends, do whatever you can. If they don't want to listen, then at that point you're off the hook. After 3 times, you're off the hook. However, the Rambam writes it's forbidden for a person to be achzari, to be cruel, and not to accept someone's request for forgiveness. So that means it goes on the victim here, quote unquote, that they have to go ahead and ask for forgiveness. You cannot take revenge, can't do anything. You have to be able to let things go, and you have to be able to forgive. That's what the Rambam is basically writing. That's a paraphrase. And then, lastly, in this chapter, the Rambam writes, well, perhaps there's another way. If a person dies, and if a person sins to his fellow, and the guy dies, before you're able to ask for forgiveness, then you would bring 10 men to their grave, umamidin al kivro, and you're going to have 10 people stand over the grave of the person who's deceased, and say in front of him, Chatasi LaHashem Elokeisel, I have sinned before Hashem, the God of the Jews, and to this person as well, and this is what I did to him. And if he owes him money, he also has to pay back to the heirs. You have to pay back to the Yorshim. Lo yadeh lo Yorshim yenichu b'beizin. If he does owe money and they don't find any heirs, then you give it over to Beizin and you have to do the vidui. So there's 2 ways you do it. You're either doing it in his face while he's alive, or you're doing it not in his face, but you're going to the kever in order to ask for forgiveness. So now I present you the question. The question is a mechlokes, a dispute between the Mishnah Berurah, and the dispute is between the Mishnah Berurah and the head of the Musar movement, which I can't find the page over here to find the Rav Yisrael Salanter, had the following scenario. The question is as follows. The Mishnah Berurah, when he wrote his book on Lashon Hara, so he gave it over to Rav Yisrael Salanter to review, and Rav Yisrael Salanter reviewed. He said, I agree with everything except for one part. One part I disagree. What's that part you disagree? Well, you write that if someone says Lashon Hara about somebody else, he says something negative about somebody else, and the other person doesn't know about it, then you need to go over to that person and tell them, listen, I said Lashon Hara about you, I need to request forgiveness. Says Rav Yisrael Salanter, I disagree with that premise. Why? Why do you disagree? The reason why he disagrees is because of the fact that if I'm going to tell a person, I said Lashon Hara about you, I'm now going to cause that person pain. If they don't know that I said it about them, leave it. And don't request forgiveness from them because of the fact you don't want to cause unduly pain to the individual. So now, says the Mishnah Berurah, no, go over to the person, tell him, look, unfortunately, I spoke negatively about you, I said something bad about you, I need to ask for forgiveness. It's going to cause him pain, but I need to ask for forgiveness. Says Rav Yisrael Salanter, the pain is too great, you cannot actually do that. So which would you choose? Think about it. What would you choose? So you and I would both probably say, you know what? I'd rather not cause him any undue pain. I'm not going to go say anything to him. That's not bad, except for there's one problem with that. The problem is that if you don't tell your friend and ask him for forgiveness for the lashon hara you said about them, then you're still bearing the burden of sin, as the Rambam just iterated over here. And that is, this is the weight of their machlokas. The weight of their dispute is very simple. It's a simple machlokas. The question is, what do you do with it? Do I cause the person extra pain by telling them to ask for, by telling them I said lashon hara, thereby giving them the opportunity to forgive me? Or do I not cause them extra pain, but I will not get forgiveness? Okay, it's a pretty heavy discussion over here. I won't get forgiveness because I never told them about it, but I won't cause them any more pain. Or do we say, a little more pain, I'm going to cause them by telling them I did lashon hara? No pain, no gain, right? I cause them a little more pain, by the way, and sometimes they say, what did you say about me? Whatever, I just said you're the, whatever, blah, 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 ugliest something or other, and you'll never, whatever, you'll never fulfill anything in life. Whatever, I just said that there's a couple of other people about you, you know? So now they're going to get infuriated at you. But now you also have to ask for forgiveness. So which one do you do? So says Rav Yisrael Salanter, don't cause any extra pain. Too bad, you won't get forgiveness. Well, why should you cause somebody else extra pain? That's the key. And Mishnah Berurah says, you know what? You should still go do it. What's the reason why you should go do it? The reason why you should go do it is because people would rather take pain in order to give other people forgiveness. So like you said, no pain, no gain. What is how you really look at it? Am I causing more pain to somebody else? Or would you, the other person, be willing to accept the pain of me telling you I said something bad about you in order so that you can actually give me forgiveness? Pretty remarkable whether you actually look at it, right? You know, like I'd love to tell you something that's right before Yom Kippur. I'd like to say, what is it? Well, it's going to cause you a lot of pain, but it'll be good for me in the long run. So, what do you think? What do you think, right?
It's all about me.
It's all about me, right? It'll cause you pain, but don't worry because I can go into Yom Kippur with a clean slate. That's what it comes down to. So the Mishnah is basically saying here that even though it's going to cause you pain, you intrinsically, the depths of your heart, don't want someone else to suffer because of you. You don't want to be the cause. Like, oh, that person, all these people never got a ton of Yom Kippur, all because of me, right? Because I wouldn't be able to forgive them because I wouldn't be able to handle the pain. So Mishnah Berurah is saying over here, no, intrinsically, deep down, every one of us really wants everyone else to have a kapara. Except for that guy, you know? Right? We all have that one guy, right? No, really, deep down, we all want everyone to have a full, clean slate on Yom Kippur. And therefore, he suggests that that's what you should do. So, Rav Chaim Kanievsky suggests that our minhag is like Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. If a person doesn't know, then you wouldn't actually go ahead and tell them. But, again, for the fact, I don't remember the finality as to how he paskin. There are those that would say, no, you would actually go ahead and say this over to your fellow because he would really want you to have atonement of your question.
So if you're a Kohen and you did something to somebody and you want to get forgiveness and they die.
Say again? You're a Kohen.
You're a Kohen and you want to get forgiveness from somebody who died.
Right.
It's not a family member.
You want to know how you're going to go into the
How are
cemetery?
you going to do that?
Probably need to appoint the shaliach. Probably need to appoint someone to go there. That's probably what you'll have to do, right?
Question. As far as wronging someone, does this also include people who are not Jewish if you wrong them?
Technically, lashon hara is really only on Jews.
No, but or let's say even if it's not lashon hara, let's say it's something else. You to them said something and they took it the wrong way, and I mean they just blasted you and said, "Don't ever talk to me again."
Right, so it's a good question over there. That would be the question of onas devarim, would be using negative words towards somebody else. Would that actually apply to somebody else? So to a non-Jew, it's a great question. I don't know if it actually applies in that case to a non-Jew. Obviously, you want to have some element of a clean slate. Lashon hara certainly is specifically to that of a Jew. That's what that's what the pasuk of Lo Selech Rachel Ba'amecha is. So it's a good question. We have to investigate to see further if there is a definite requirement. You might have to do tshuva between you and Hashem. You may not necessarily have to do tshuva between you and the other individual. Mm-hmm. This was the other quote over here. And that is, Rav Chaim Kanievsky felt like the view of Rav Yisrael Salanter, and that is that you would not reveal it. However, Rav Elyashiv said you would do it from you would actually go over to the person. He says, we see from the Chavetz Chaim's words that a person should be willing to undergo a little bit of pain so his friend will be able to do tshuva. That's how we have to look at these things in our lives. I have to be willing to forego some pain. Someone's going to say negatively about me in order that somebody else can actually go ahead and do the tshuva. He does conclude over here at the end, the Chavetz Chaim concedes that if one is sure, if you're certain that telling a person what was done to him will embarrass the victim, then you should not tell him what he did. And as a practical ruling, Chaim Kanievsky added, if possible, the slanderer should ask his victim forgiveness in a general manner. This is the accepted approach that most people do. So we all say things that aren't great. I've said Lashon Hara about you. What was he said? There's so many things that I've said about different people. If you don't mind giving me forgiveness for the Lashon Hara that I've said about you in a general way. No, tell me what specific thing you said. Honestly, there's so many times I've said bad about you that I can't actually remember which one was the worst. Just, would you mind forgiveness over here? So again, obviously not in that way, but he says you should ask your victim forgiveness in a general manner, simply stating that I sinned against you. You don't necessarily have to say Lashon Hara. I've done something negative against you. I'd love to ask you for forgiveness.
That's why nowadays you don't say anything in the text, so you have a record.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Okay.